Welcome back. You're watching Election Exchange. With several countries around the world going to polls this year, cyber attacks related to disrupting elections have been one of the biggest threats. As per a report by CrowdStrike, generative AI, if not regulated, can be used to create malicious software, amplify propaganda, and generate disinformation. In the Indian context, the report stated that China's cyber actors have shown significant interest in the elections with an aim to cause disruption. The report has also highlighted surge in adversaries using stolen identity credentials to exploit gaps in cloud environments. Joining me now to take this forward is Adam Meyers, Senior Vice President of Counter-Adversary Operations at CrowdStrike. Thank you very much for joining us, Adam. Let me begin by asking you about the Indian electoral process. You recently, in the month of February, came out with a 2023 report and also an outlook for 2024 in terms of cyber threats. You did point out that the average breakout times has reduced significantly, and it takes just about 31 seconds to compromise the victim. But when it comes to use of generative AI and its misuse by cyber adversaries, to what extent have you seen this in the Indian democracy or use against India over the last 1 year leading up to this election?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We don't have to look back a year. We could just look back a month, 2 months now. Back in March, we started seeing images that were both pro-Modi and anti-Modi that were meant to kind of sway voters, that were completely generated through artificial intelligence using stable diffusion algorithms, which allow you to take text and turn it into whatever image you'd like it to be. So we've seen images that depict Prime Minister Modi in a very positive light. We've also seen ones that demonstrate the opposition in a more positive light. And then just last month in April, we observed some videos that were what we call deep fakes. And a deep fake is a completely fabricated video that uses a base image. In this case, they use two individuals that are very well-known actors from Bollywood. There was Amir Khan and Ranveer Singh were both portrayed having negative conversations about Prime Minister Modi. And that was, again, completely created through the use of artificial intelligence.
Right. Adam, when it comes to Chinese state actors acting against India, have you seen increased activity or threats or attacks on India in the cyberspace during this election over the last 2 months or so?
We've seen continuous efforts over the last year by China, particularly disinformation, misinformation, meant to kind of influence positions along the line of actual control. We've seen cyber intrusions by a number of different Chinese-affiliated threat actors. These are groups that we associate with either the People's Liberation Army or the Ministry of State Security, who have conducted operations broadly against organizations in India, not just political, but also military and commercial as well. So we've seen a massive number of incidents as a result of Chinese intrusion operations meant to collect intelligence, whether it be economic intelligence or political or military intelligence.
Right. One of the observations that CrowdStrike has made that Chinese cyber actors have significant interest in Indian elections with an aim to cause disruption. Have you come across any trends as such?
No, I think that's something that we're concerned about and keeping a close eye on. The Chinese have really expanded their interest globally and certainly within the region. There's programs like the Belt and Road Initiative, Made in China 2025, and the various 5-year plans that they've instantiated. And all of these are really meant to drive China to be the leader in the region and ultimately the globe. So a big part of that is going to be countering their concerns from India, who is just recently in the last year overtaken them in terms of population. And it is, again, a very threatening emerging economy in the region that they're concerned about.
Right. Now, when it comes to misuse of AI and applications available, digital applications available to cyber actors, where do you think most of the cyber attacks on democracies going to polls this year, that is 40 countries are going to polls in 2024, where do you see majority of the cyber attacks, deep fakes emanating from, Adam?
Well, it's predominantly coming out of places like Russia, China. We could expect to see some things potentially out of Iran as well, given the heightened tensions over the last year with Iran and the West. But it's important, I think, to understand that there's different ways that this might show up. There is fake images, which can be used to make it seem as if something has happened that is not true. They could also be used to either positively or negatively portray a political candidate, as we've already seen in the India election. We have, so that technology can do images. There's also an emerging class of technology which can create fake video, which has not really become widely accessible. But what has become widely accessible is this deep fake technology, which can be done on a home computer with a decent set of hardware. And that can be used to replicate or to take somebody's face and put it onto a different body or into a different video clip. And this is what we've already seen with the Bollywood actors. And then there's also what we call large language models, which can be used to create narrative or text. And that could all be combined together. So you can kind of create fake news stories using some of these LLMs for any topic you can imagine. And then you can create a fake image using stable diffusion to make it seem as if it's a legitimate news story. And then really that's where the tradecraft of these nation state threat actors like China and Russia and Iran come in, where they'll then combine all of those things and then use that to get a very fake news story to start to circulate on social media or even into the real media. And then that is really hard to walk back. And this is the broad kind of approach of how you conduct disinformation operations.
Right. Adam, one thing that CrowdStrike had observed, how a doctored image of the Prime Minister was circulating on a certain US social media platform. Could you also tell us a bit about that? And also, when it comes to the larger threats to India in the year 2024, you've mentioned a number of things in your global report about cloud intrusions, about misuse of generative AI, deep fakes, false narratives and disinformation. If you were to speak about some of the biggest threats in the cyber world to India this year, what would those be?
Yeah, absolutely. So the images that we saw created were one, there was one that was very pro Prime Minister Modi, and it depicted him with a lot of kind of traditional Hindu iconography and tried to make him look like a hero. There was also ones that depicted his opposition, Gandhi, being with the farmers and being with the folks that were not doing so well, and kind of portraying him as a hero of the people. And so those were kind of both fake images that were created by somebody and were circulated on social media. In terms of India's concerns moving forward, I think the number one concern from a national security nation state perspective is going to be either Pakistan, who does have offensive capabilities, and we've seen threat actors from Pakistan targeting India in the past, primarily in the government and military side of targeting. And then China, which is broadly operating against India's interests and has conducted, as I said earlier, intrusions across a wide set of sectors, including government, industry, energy, financials, commercial, all kinds of different targets. We've also seen in the past North Korea has targeted India in order to generate revenue for their weapons program, oftentimes attacking traditional financial systems, banks and things like that, but also this emerging concept of financial technology or fintech, which uses a lot of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, has been a huge target for threat actors from North Korea. And then finally, there is, this two other areas to think about, which is e-crime, which is non-state aligned threat actors who are trying to generate revenue for themselves. This could emerge as ransomware and also data theft and extortion attacks, which have been up year over year. In fact, we saw a 76% increase last year globally in data extortion demands being posted online. And we've also seen a massive uptick in targeting of clouds. So in addition to the threat actors that are out there, there's a lot of new technology being rolled out across businesses in India and across the government in India, including cloud technology, which can be very safe, but it needs to be secured. When you deploy these things insecurely, you open yourself up to a whole host of issues, and we've seen a massive uptick in threat actors that are targeting the cloud. And then,
Adam, we've run out of time completely. Yeah, we've completely run out of time, Adam, but thank you very much for that comprehensive update. You're telling us that the biggest threats in the cyber world to India are from Pakistan and China this year, and how data extortion in the cyber world is one of the biggest crimes and has seen a 76% increase year on year. So that was Adam Meyers of CrowdStrike speaking about misinformation, false narratives and use of deepfakes in the Indian election. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Election Exchange. More news and updates continue right here.